Okay, so what I'm going to do is kind of walk you through all the steps of the things that were in the slideshow that I shared with you, just in case you get stuck and don't remember what to do, or you're at home working on this, or you were absent the day I was here to uh, work people through it in the classroom. So the first thing we're going to start with is the script. So you just open up Google Docs and you write your script, whatever you're going to do. And then what I'm going to do, and this part is optional, is I'm going to put it into a teleprompter so that I can read it while I'm recording it. Now, I don't have to put it in the teleprompter. I can read it right off the Google Doc if I want to, but the teleprompter just moves it a little faster and you know what's going on. So, but it's totally up to you if you want to do it, whichever way you want to do it. So, to use the teleprompter, I'm going to copy everything in my script. Yours will probably be longer than this. And then I'm going to copy that. And I use Control and C to copy it instead of right clicking and copy or whatever. But you do whatever's normal and most natural for you. Then I'm going to go over to the teleprompter, which is qprompter.com. And then you got to scroll down a little bit. They got some ads and stuff. And right here, where it says type or cut and paste your script, you want to get rid of that part. So you just highlight that and hit the backspace key. And then you're going to paste what you just copied from your document into the teleprompter. And that didn't work too good for me. I'm going to have to do Control and V to get it to work. There you go. Now, don't worry about all this stuff. The stuff down here doesn't have anything to do with the teleprompter. So don't click on the start now and all that kind of stuff. You want to go down, and all this, you can change this the way you want to, but we can also change it once we start the teleprompter. And I'm going to start a new prompter. That's what I want to do. I want to start a new prompter. So I click on that, and then there it is. Now I can practice a couple of times that maybe this is too slow or too fast. So I can look at it and I can practice it. If and then after I practice to go back to it, I bring it all the way to the top. So if I want to make it a little faster, you don't want to go too fast, you don't want to go too slow. So I'm going to go just a little bit faster. Now, I want to be able to read this and record my Vocaroo at the same time. Vocaroo is the program we're going to use to record your podcast. So to do that, I need to use an extension that's called Tab Resize. And what Tab Resize does is it takes the tab closest to the right of the tab you're on and puts it on the same screen. So it puts it in a new window and puts them both on the same screen so you can do them both at the same time. So you need to go to the web store and download that extension, and that link is in the slideshow. So if you have that, and it's very important that the Q prompter and the Vocaroo are next to each other. They don't have to be in this order, but they both need to be next to each other. You can't have Q prompter all the way over here and Vocaroo over here, and it's not going to work. They have to be next to each other. Now, when you put the tab resize extension, it's probably going to show up here because you don't have as many extensions as I do. I have a lot of extensions. So I have to go find it in the extensions list, which I do by clicking on this little puzzle piece right here. So I'm going to click on that, and I have to scroll down to all of my extensions, and I just have a whole bunch of them because I have to teach people about how to use them. And then finally, there it is. The one I want is this one here that says Tab Resize. So when I click on Tab Resize, I want to do the 1x2. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hit, and so that puts my Vocaroo and my teleprompter right next to you. Now you notice it kind of squunched up my teleprompter a little bit, but that's okay. It's still the same thing. It just made it so that they can both be on the same screen. So now I'm gonna what I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna start the cue prompter first because I got a little extra room here. And then I'm gonna hit the button on Vocaroo. And then I'm gonna record my podcast. I read The Outsiders in seventh grade, and that's been a really long time ago. So I don't remember much on the details. So I'm just gonna make up a scene to talk about. My favorite scene was when the greasers were in the pool hall talking about how different they are than the soaps. What makes this ironic is that later on we find that both of these groups have very much in common. All right. And then I just stopped that. I improvised a little bit. And if I didn't like that, I can hit the redo button and do it again. And then if I want to reread it, I can just pull that up. That's all I got to do. So now what's important is that I have to finish with Vocaroo before I close this out. And once I close this, my Vocaroo is gone. So I'm going to say that that's good enough for what I want to do. So I'm going to hit save and share. And then what I want to do is press download. Now mine's going to download to my computer because I'm not on a Chromebook, but your Chromebook, it might download. Hopefully it'll download to your Google Drive, but it might download to there's a download section in your Chromebook, and you can just find that by going down to the little circle at the bottom, on the bottom left, clicking on that, and one of the things it'll say is downloads. You go there and you can find it. But I'm just going to download it right now. So I download that. Now I'm done with the Vocaroo part. And I'm just going to close it out. And now I'm going to make this big. And I'm done with the teleprompter part. So I'm going to get rid of the teleprompter. All right. So now I want to kind of spice my podcast up a little bit. And so one thing I might want to do is put some music to it. So I'm going to use a site called Pixabay. And the great thing about this is you don't have to log into it. That you can just find the stuff that you want and then download it, and there's no sign in and nothing like that. Um, it the only limitation of it is that there's not a whole lot here, but you just kind of make it work. So I'm going to use. So what I did is I did a search under music for rock and roll is what I did, and it gave me these three, and I kind of tested them out. And the one I like is Joker Boy. And so I'm going to download Joker Boy. And you don't have to do any of that. And it'll download. And so then the next thing I want to do is, and then I also went on Pixabay and I found a sound effect of somebody hitting pool balls, because the thing I talked about that I made up was about them being in a pool hall. If I wanted to talk about a drag race, I could find a thing for racing cars or cars racing or things like that. Or if I wanted teenagers talking or crowd noise or something like that. So Pixabay has music and it also has sound effects. So if you want music, you search for music. You want sound effects, you click for sound effects. So I already went and downloaded the sound effects. It's exactly the same way as doing music. Really simple. All right. So now I want to kind of put my podcast together. And the way I'm going to kind of put it together is I want a little bit of Joker Boy. I want, I want the sound of the pool hall. And then I want the talking that I did. And then I want to do a little bit of the Joker Boy music on the end of it. So I've got music, then I got the pool ball effect, talking, and then the music. So that's the way I want it to kind of structure my podcast. Well, the easiest way to get all that together is using a program, an app that's called Audio Joiner. And I'm going to do this from the beginning. So this is what it looks like to start with. Don't worry about any of that other stuff. The link to Audio Joiner is in the slideshow that I did. Don't worry about all this start stuff. That's just extra. Don't even worry about that. All right. So since I've got those three things saved, I've got my podcast, the Joker Boy music, and the pool ball effects. I downloaded all that. I can add those tracks here, but I have to add them in the order I'm going to use them. So I'm going to add a track, and it goes here, and these are in my download system. And the one I'm going to do is I'm going to do this Joker Boy right here, and I'm going to open that. And you see it's really long. It's like 2 minutes and 46 seconds. And while that doesn't seem really long, when you're doing it, it's really long. That's way too long. So for an intro, you only need about 15 seconds at the most. So I'm going to kind of cut this back. And I've played this before, and I don't particularly like the way this starts. It starts with a kind of a funky thing to it. So there's 15 minutes of it. And I can play this to see what it sounds like and see if this is what I like. So I'm going to play it. All right, that's still a tad long, I think. I'm thinking that's still a little bit long. So I'm going to push this back to the beginning. Click back here to the beginning. And I'm going to bring it I'm going to make it about 10 seconds. We'll go about right at 12 seconds. So I'm going to use that. So that'll be good. All right. So there I've got my Joker. Now over here, this fade cut, what that does is it plays a little bit of this and then it goes into your next thing that you're going to play. I found that this doesn't work all that great, that it kind of overlaps the first part of what you're doing. So I'm not going to use it. You can play around with it and see if it works better for you. All right. So then the next track I'm going to add is the pool ball sound that I downloaded. So I click that, and right there it says pool balls hitting together. That's the one I want. I click on that, and there's the pool balls hitting together. And I can look at that, and that is about a second. So that's all I need. It's just that one little thing. I'm not going to alter that whatsoever. Now I am going to disable the crossfade on the one I did above there. I don't want to crossfade with that. All right, now the next thing I want to do is I'm going to add that podcast that I just did. And that's it. It says Vakaroo that I just did. So I'm going to put that in there. And then I do want to crossfade the pool balls into this. And I only know that because I've done this a couple of times practicing. And I do want to crossfade those in there. And then lastly, I'm going to add another Joker Boy. And I can use the same one. And that's the 2-minute one. I don't want a 2-minute Joker Boy. I want about the same amount, about 12 seconds. And like I said, I don't like the way the intro to that works. So I'm kind of out there. And I don't want to crossfade that either, because what will happen if this is crossfaded, the music starts before I'm done. It'll start, the music will start about here, and I've still got some more I'm talking about. So I'm going to disable that crossfade there. So that is my podcast. If I want to hear how it sounds, and the whole thing takes less than a minute, it takes like about 56, it takes 56 seconds. And so, oops, didn't mean to do that. Yeah, put that back there. And then if I want to see how it all came out, I can go back up here to the start and play it all the way through. I'm not going to do that, but you can do that. If you like the way it sounds, then it's good. If you want to edit it, you can trash these, you can move them around, or you can trash the whole thing and start over. But then what I'm going to do is I'm going to join all these tracks together. That's what I'm going to do. So I click on join, and then I'm going to download it. And because it should only download once, but sometimes when you click it, it downloads twice for some reason. And don't worry about it. Now, what you're going to do, because I'm on my computer and not a Chromebook, it gives me a choice of downloading to the computer, to Dropbox, or Google Drive. So you would probably want to do Google Drive so it doesn't get in your computer. But we'll work on that part. All right. So that's all done. So I'm done with my music. I'm done with the song merging. I'm done with my script. So the next thing for me to do is to put this in the slideshow like I'm supposed to for Miss Crespo. And so where I do that, I'm going to do it on this slide right here, but on the podcast slideshow that I made, wrong one, number 3. On number 3, it tells you how to share your podcast. And you do it exactly the same way I'm doing it here, just on a different slideshow. So you go to insert, and then you do audio. And I did one thing I need to do one different thing real quick before I do this. I have to have this in a Google Drive. It won't do it straight from you. If you just did yours and it put in there, and there's my mix one, I think that's the right one. And I need to put this in my Google Drive. And yeah, I'm having trouble getting this in my Google Drive exactly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my Google Drive, audio joiner to your Google Drive. You won't have to do this step. And so now I can insert audio from my drive, and there it is right there. Or I could do recent, it's the most recent one that I just did. Either way, doesn't matter. And then I'm just gonna, and it puts on this little bitty icon. And so you probably need to bring that up a little bit just so people can click on it. And now we'll click on it and see what happens. It's only 57 seconds. So. I read The Outsiders in 7th grade, and that's been a really long time ago. So I don't remember much on the details. So I'm just going to make up a scene to talk about. My favorite scene was when the greasers were in the pool hall talking about how different they are than the subs. What makes this ironic is that later on we find that both of these groups have very much in common. Okay, so I may probably, if I was going to do that for real, I would probably want to redo that one as a little start and stoppy, mostly because my teleprompter was going a little bit too slow. So, but that's just things you just got to kind of work out. And if that's good enough for you, that's really not that bad. You just go ahead and do it, and that's all you need to do. So, hopefully, this has been helpful for you, showing you how to do it step by step by step. And I did all of that. It probably took me less than 15 minutes to do all that. So it's really not too hard. So just have fun. And if you have any questions about this, if you were absent and you can't find anybody in your class that can answer your questions for you, you can email me. My name is Keith Barnes at bullet.kyschools.us, and or, I can help you through any problems that you're having. So I hope that making a podcast is something you'll enjoy, and good luck to you.